All right, all right. Welcome, welcome, everyone. I am Takesha Michelle of Education Inside Out, where as a result of what we do, parents of at-risk children and teachers are putting structures and strategies in place at home to ensure the success of their children. Also, we continue to build better relationships, establish consistency, and maintain control in your home or at school. Now, y'all, for the past 3 months, I'm super excited that we have had the opportunity to do this series that we're kind of wrapping up tonight. And we talked about how to dismantle madness or break down the things that are creating madness or stress in our lives at home and with our families. And then we went on to talk about seeding success or how to reestablish things in our home after we dismantled it. And these are things that are directly related to our children and their success. Now, today, listen, we get to talk about less stress and more control. Who wouldn't want less stress and more control, right? This is a parenting plan for everyday living. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a scripture that I think is so befitting for this particular training. It's Philippians chapter 4, beginning at verse 4. And it reads, depending upon which version of the Bible you might be familiar with or you read from. And it says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition or prayer and supplication, however yours reads, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Now, it goes on in verse 8 to say, finally, my brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, and whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. That's what I want you to do. Think on these things. And we'll talk more about that as we go on tonight. Now, let's get started with the things that will help you have less stress and more control. Is anybody excited about it? I am. I'm really excited about it, as I always am. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight, but before I tell you about the things we're going to talk about, I do want to remind you of one other scripture that, again, totally befitting for what we're talking about, even just throughout this parent empowerment virtual conference. And that is Proverbs 22:6, which says, train up a child in the way that they will go. So even when they are old, they will not depart from it. I don't know if y'all have seen where I've said or posted that self-care begins before you ever arrive at the spa, if you have structures and strategies in place. Last month, a viewer sent a question, and they actually shared a statement last month that said, planting seeds was also setting boundaries and establishing discipline. If you're willing to agree with that, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or put a yes and yes in the chat. Planting seeds is equivalent to or looks like setting boundaries and establishing discipline. Thanks. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I venture to agree because it is important for parents to put boundaries in place and to establish the discipline in your children. Because I ask you, if you have not planted or cultivated seeds of boundaries and discipline in your child, how do you expect the teacher to teach them? Think on that, right? So let's continue. I want you to think on the following things. Are your kids growing up too fast? Or maybe just kids in the world? Are they growing up too fast because they actually have to be in charge of themselves? Now understand, I'm not trying to come for anybody, right? I'm not trying to come for anybody. But wow, there are a lot of things that children have become responsible for, but that actually was a hindrance for me once upon a time. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Another question: are your children being forced or fortified to grow into properly productive members of society? Now, those words are similar, but they're not the same. Forced or fortified into being productive, properly productive members of society. Think on that. Now, for the next bit of time, we're going to discuss what causes stress, how to alleviate that stress, and then examples of structures and strategies that create situations of control in your home, for your children, for the success, for the future of your family. Okay, so let's talk about some possible stressors in your life. You can type in the chat, or if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can put it in the comment section. What are some stressors that you find in your life as it relates to your children, maybe even your job? But let's just stick to children for right now. Maybe calls from your child's school. That might be a stressor, and I would love to see you pop some in the chat. That would be fantastic if you think of any. Maybe report card grades could be a stressor, depending upon what you're looking for. Bullies or bullying? Which side of the coin might your child fall on? A dirty or maybe just simply an unkept home. Some people call it stress if there is a dish in the sink. I get it. But is that a stressor for you? Or are you content to just lay it on down and sit and chill amongst all of the things? I don't know. Maybe that's a stress for you, maybe not. Your kids are asking for any and everything. They just keep asking. No matter if they care that you're going to get it for them or not, they just keep asking. Does that pose a stress for you? Are your kids always fussing and fighting and arguing? Does that create a stress for you? Or maybe it's relationships with teachers or relationships with your co or no parent. We live in a reactive world when it comes to the society that we live in today. We even say things like, he better not, or she should have. She did it first. He shouldn't have. If I had, y'all, those are all reactionary statements. Those are things that we say when we wish things could have been different or should have been different. I want you to consider this. What if your household lived according to your actual plan? Do you have a plan? Think on that. Let me tell you about a time when having a plan, having things laid out in my home was really, really helpful. So there was a time back around, was it 2009, 2010, when we were eating healthily in our home, which is what I did because it's what my mom taught me to do. My kids ate yogurt. Probably the worst thing we did was we had Kool-Aid. Did anybody drink Kool-Aid? Maybe you still do. I don't know. Did anybody drink Kool-Aid? Raise your hand, shout it out. Yes, the red Kool-Aid, the purple Kool-Aid. Yes, Kool-Aid. Yes, Kenya, absolutely. We drank Kool-Aid. That might have been the worst. Outside of that, it was like Capri Suns or water or milk, whatever it was, maybe juice occasionally. But outside of that, we ate pretty healthily. So around 2009, 2010 in January, we have to rush my daughter to the hospital, and we come to find out that she's a type 1 diabetic. After going through all of the changes and getting things back settled, We come to the time we have to meet with the nutritionist who's going to tell us, who thinks that she's about to tell us that we have to make all of these changes. And as she's talking to us, she comes to realize, she was like, oh, wait a minute. This is not going to be a challenge for you. All right, thanks. Thank you so much. This is not going to be a challenge for you. You all already have this already laid out. Huh. That was a good thing, right? But let me tell you about when my son was 10 years old and his grandmother called me over the summer and said, have you not taught this child how to hang up his clothes? I was like, why? I do it. I wanted everything to be just right. I hung up the clothes. He hadn't been taught that. That was not a strategy that I had put in place. And so she's frustrated a bit because she's trying to tell him to do some things. I mean, I had taught him how to put toys away and all, but I wanted the closet to be just perfect. So I did it. But now as he's getting older, I'm trying to teach him how to do, and he can't. So now frustration sets in. I'm angry because I need it done in a period of time, but he can't do it because I never taught him. I never laid it out. So now it's a little bit more challenging because I never put a plan in place. Let me share with you. Think on this. You are the authority in your home. You give permission, and you may grant or transfer authority as needed. I never transferred him the authority to manage his own closet, to take care of his own clothes. That was a necessity to aid in his growth and to prepare him for what was coming next in life. Let me ask you, what if you were a strict or even if you were a strict parent with high or medium expectations? I don't know if that's you or not. If it's you, if you are that strict parent, if you think that you might be a strict parent or were a strict parent because you have adult children, if that's you, go ahead and type in the chat. I am or I was a strict parent. No matter what caused the changes, age or information, I am or I was a strict parent. Go ahead and type that in the chat for me. Let me know if you are or if you were a strict parent. I was a strict parent. I had high and I had medium expectations, right? Well, we're all a little bit different, and I'm okay with that. Thank you. But listen, research shows you are, but you thought, right? Like not teaching a child how to hang up their own clothes when they're 10, right? So thanks for sharing. So research shows that children, or your child or your children, would have the following character traits if you are this type of a parent. They would have a sense, they will or would have a sense of responsibility, high levels of self-discipline with organizational skills, emotional restraint, plays a big part in growing up, a strong adherence to rules. They respect and obey authority. How can that work at school? And they have a resilience or reliance, of structure and routine. What about that? Structure and routine. That's a big deal, right? So now I like all of these things, but do understand that the research did identify some pitfalls because, strict parenting is not balanced parenting. I believe in balanced parenting. So know this. When you put structures and strategies in place, it establishes the expectations for everyday living. Put the structures and strategies in place, and you have this opportunity to create, like I said, you don't have to worry about having to go to the spa for things to be peaceful, for things to flow as they need to, if you put structures and strategies in place. with those expectations? Does anybody want to share? Or maybe, I don't know if you have a share or not. I was looking for Leo. I'm not sure what happened. Life happens. I understand it's graduation season. It's the end of school years for high schools and things. And it seems like he wasn't able to make it, but that's okay. If you, because I have plenty of stories to tell, if you have, and maybe Tasha, you have a remembrance, or anyone else has a remembrance of a structure or a strategy that you have or have used in your home that has helped to make things run a little bit more smoothly, no matter the reason why you implemented it, feel free to open up your mic and share. Anybody want to share about a structure or strategy that you currently have or you have had in place that has helped how life functions in your household? Give you a moment. Go ahead, think about it. Nothing. Nobody has anything that you have in place. You know what, Kenya? Kenya, I know you were like, I was coming over here to talk to y'all. I already know. But I know you got some things because I know you. Tasha, you got something? You got something, Kenya? Let me see Tasha. Tasha, open up her mic. Go for it, Tasha. Can you get ready?
Hi everybody. As you know, nice to see you. As you know, everything gets on my nerves. Everything. I'm gonna find something wrong with everything. Well, one of my biggest pet peeves was the sock thing, and I think I share that with a lot of people. Where do the socks go? Do they run away from home? I mean, what happened? Were they kidnapped and reunited with their previous family? I can't take it. And then his feet keep growing so fast, I have to buy different sizes. So you're losing socks and buying socks. You're growing and buying socks. I don't have that problem anymore.
What you got? What did you do, Kenya?
I created Kenya's sock exchange program. You don't get socks if you don't give me socks. I keep all his socks in the bin.
Okay.
Under my bed. We have more than we have. This is the one with the designs. These are the really, really cool socks.
Okay.
But I took the pair of socks off of him as soon as he walked in the door today. These are the ones from today. And it better be both of them, and they better not be inside out. Because I do laundry. And now that he's giving me socks today, now he's allowed to get a pair for tomorrow. You better wear flip flops. You better not tell me you don't know what those socks are, because I don't give up socks for free. Socks, all socks, and I don't have that problem anymore. And when I do laundry, most of them, almost maybe once a month, all the socks might not all made up, and it's probably my fault if there's probably something I did or something like that. But yeah, I solved that problem.
Oh, thank you. Y'all celebrate Kenya. Thank you for sharing. Yes, and yes. I love it. Thank you, Kenya. Tasha, you gotta follow that. Tasha, you gotta follow that. What you got, Tasha?
I know I was listening to that and I was like, how am I gonna follow that? But we it was just something that happened to me growing up, and sometimes when the children would come up to me in the middle of in the middle of a conversation with an adult, I would tell the adult, I was like, excuse me, let's see what they have to say. And then I would let them say what they had to say. And then once they said it, like, now, could that have waited till after our conversation? And then they'll look at me and they'll look at the person that I'm talking to and be like, yeah. So they thought about, when they would see me sitting and talking to adults, was it really something that they needed to stop the conversation for? And again, it was because of something that happened to me, traumatic during my childhood, that I tried to go to my parents and tell them something, and they cut me off. And so I shut down for years, and I incorporated that in my parenting, just to hear what they had to say, to be sure it wasn't something traumatic. And once I knew it wasn't, okay, we're going to talk about this later because I'm in the middle of a conversation. And they would always come during the juicy part too. So, anyway,
Of
that
course,
was
it was
it.
always doing the juicy part, right?
Right.
Thank you for sharing. Celebrate, Tasha. Thank you, Tasha, for sharing. Thank you, thank you. Yes, yes, and yes. That's rough because I just talked to my mama yesterday and I did tell her, listen, she was like, I always need a friend. I know. I remember all the days of hanging on the carts in a grocery store, in a clothing store, waiting for you to finish a conversation. And she was like, yeah, I had to learn how to end them. I'm happy you learned now. I wish you have learned it back then. But that is because parents will tell, I don't want to hear it. And I can see how that is important. You're right, because if there's something very, very crucial, and so that training, yes, right, train up a child in the way they should go, because now that's not something you have to deal with. You have the conversation, and now they know if it's going, I can't cry wolf ultimately, right? I'm going to, if I meet my mom, I need to make sure that I have something that I absolutely need to tell her in that moment, or I can wait because she is engaged in a conversation. I love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing. And the socks, all of the socks. You're right, because I actually see children come to school with socks, with high socks, low socks, same color, but it's a long one and a short. They're like, I couldn't find my socks, and I am like, oh my goodness. Thanks for joining us, Elder Christy. We appreciate you. We look forward to talking to you soon. Check us out on YouTube. See you soon. Bye bye. All right. So listen, y'all. Another question we had last month was, what if your seed does not grow as you planted or expected? Then what? What if your seed that you planted or the expectations you put in place, what if it didn't happen? Then what? So I say that this is a prime example of don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. We didn't get manuals and all when we gave birth to our children, or when you started raising a child that maybe you wound up receiving for some unforeseen circumstance. So sometimes we got to pivot, right? We got to pivot. Maybe we got to get some different soil. Maybe the soil, just that particular soil, is not right for that child. What worked for one child doesn't work for this child. Change up the game, change up the soil, make things a little bit different. Maybe you got to check the date on those seeds. The seeds that you have may be outdated. Maybe they just, what worked when you were a child doesn't work now. But be careful. When I say it doesn't work or it's outdated, I don't mean that I didn't like when mama, and we can even use what Tasha was just saying about her kids. I didn't like when my mama told me that didn't work. I mean, that I had to wait. So I'm not going to do my kids like that. So now you're rearing rude children who just jump into conversations because you let them. So be careful with out of date, right? Consider that, because there are many, many lessons that we were taught or that our parents were taught that really should be passed down. So consider that. But also, just because what the Green family does up the street with their 8-year-old, that doesn't mean it's going to work with your 8-year-old, right? Keep that in mind as well. So, and I also want you to consider, what do I need to do? If something is not working, I would encourage you to watch, fight, and pray. You establish a thing, let's see if it's working. But I also want you to be consistent in your efforts. Yes, you study to show yourself approved, right? But every bit of information, every instruction is not going to work in your home, okay? All of it will not work. But choose something and give it time to work. Don't just start and stop. That's not building consistency. Intentional seeding, everyone. Intentional seeding versus passive seeding. We talked about that last month when we talked about seeding success. So go back and check that video out. It is on YouTube. Seeding success, intentional seeding versus passive seeding. Consistency, being intentional, is very, very important. I remember a time in my life when I was finishing my first degree and I was doing my student teaching, and I requested that my son, that kid right there, I requested that he be sent to me, that he move to Alabama with me. Now, we have a tendency to believe that we have to prove our strength, right? Or our independence. So we pick up all of the pieces and place them in our bag that is already filled with holes due to all of the other broken pieces that we have been carrying. And we keep going and going, no matter how challenging. Have you ever had a time when you decided, I got this, no matter what? So I say to you, you don't have to. You don't have to have it all by yourself. I am Takesha Michelle. I am your parent empowerment educator, along with the other parent advocates of Education Inside Out. And we're here to help you. Now, we are here to empower you to ensure the success of your children. Now, Takesha, why are you telling us all of this? Now, this is the special part. We are here to help you. Again, we are here to empower you to ensure the success of your children. Each of us has years of experience in education, in ministry, and even in mental health. But we're not here to offer you our services based off of our years of experience and our worth. But we hope that it is an attainable rate that you are willing to sacrifice for the future of your family. Okay? So I'm going to tell you about this special that we have for you. We want you to get some assistance. I told you want to make sure that you read, study, show yourself approved so that you are able to do some things for your children, set some parameters, put some structures and strategies in place. So just for $55 a month, y'all, for 6 months, we want you to do 6 months, $55 a month, 6 months, you're going to get 2 30-minute sessions, face-to-face or with Zoom, and 1 school mediation. And I know there's at least one person on here I know who can speak to school mediations being quite helpful, right? We'll contact the teacher, we'll help you prepare for the meeting. And then finally, you have access to a monthly parent empowerment session with me. And I'm super excited. I've been planning and preparing trainings for you all for a very long time. And I'm excited to meet with you monthly to share more and more of how you can see success and have less stress and more control. So I want you to hold on to this. I'm going to continue to teach. I just want you to think on this thing, okay? Because remember, self-care happens before you get to the spa if you have structures and strategies in place at home. And for teachers, even in your classroom as well. So I ask you right now, what are some plans that you have for the summer? Anybody, you got summer plans? If you do, type them in the chat. You already have plans for the summer. Go ahead, type it in the chat. Sometimes that's really exciting. But what I want to ask you is if you already know, oh yes, all right, go on a cruise. All right, I love it, I love it. Who's going to be helping support, forgive me, I'm blinking ridiculously, this good old contact lens. So who's helping you or supporting you to make sure that your children are positively active? And I'm not talking about parents with adult children, so hold on to that. But you may, because some people who have adult children have children who have some mental health issues. So think about that. Maybe they go to a particular service or they receive services at a school and you need some supports and they need to stay active. Think about that. That's important. Are your kids going to be doing more than playing games or being on a gaming system that tends to alter their central nervous system and can lead to an addiction? Did y'all know that gaming can lead to an addiction. This is going to keep them overstimulated. Oh, very good. Yes, I love it. Supports already. I don't want your kids being in a position where they are continuously or constantly overstimulated or in a constant state of battle or defense. Think on this. Will they eat healthily? Right? Yes, Tasha, it takes a village. Are your kids going to eat healthily this summer? You're responsible for their eating all day long. Yes, there are programs that are available. So please, if it's necessary, take advantage of those programs, but please make sure. Now, I'll tell you, one thing I used to do, I don't do it now. If I say, do I do it now? No, because it's just me. But when my kids were younger, I went to the grocery store. This is for lunch. This is for breakfast. This is for snack. No one in my house was allowed to go into the pantry or the cabinet, wherever we live. The pantry, the cabinet, the refrigerator, the freezer. Don't go in there without asking me a question. I'm keeping count because that's the grocery list. Are you allowing your folks to just rummage through all of the food in the house in a week and a day because they're home all day? So all they want to do is what? Eat, right? All they want to do is eat. If they have no activities, they're just sitting there eating. And you're going shopping over there. You're trying to figure, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Where's all my money going? These kids have to eat. Make a plan, work the plan, I always say. But I want to ask you this. How much red dye number 3 are you giving your children? Red dye number 3? What are you talking about, Takesha Michelle? Y'all, those chips, those drinks. Red dye number 3 causes all types of issues. Don't let me get started on a Taki. I cannot with a Taki. But listen, that red dye, some of the issues, behavioral health, like attention deficits, which means that no matter if you give them a list of instructions and you have expectations for them, their mental capacity, they're not going to be able to do the things that you desire because you have created or cultivated this child that's addicted to either video games or foods, and then you want them to do some things and they cannot respond to your expectations. So be very, very careful about the foods and the snacks. Y'all, people out here making mad change and putting a happy face on it. And then you're wondering why your children are behaving or not behaving. Think on that. Yes. Yep. Exactly. Think about that. You cannot truly have less stress or more control if your children are not able to fulfill your simplest expectations. That's not going to happen, especially if you're trying to transfer a permission or an authority to them and their brains are not capable of processing the information. Without nutrition playing a part, have you had a family meeting to discuss what will happen this summer? That's very important. And I say to you, please do not make promises that will not actually come to fruition because you just want to give your kids some hope. I hope I can take them on a trip. I hope that they can go to the amusement park. I hope that somebody will get off and take them to the park. Don't do that to them, because what will happen is that they'll remember that mommy did not tell me the truth. Daddy, grandma, auntie, cousin did not tell. They lied to me. Can you imagine how a child would feel? What will the damage that will be done to your relationship because you misled them? A plan, y'all, definitely allows for one to have. If you have a plan in place, it will definitely allow for you to have less stress and more control. So please have those realistic conversations with your children. Summertime is not a time for total just discombobulation and anarchy. It's not the time for that. We want to keep structures and strategies in place so that you can ensure the success of your children into a new school year. So I want to celebrate those of you who have already started putting these structures and strategies in place. And I want to encourage others of you to reach out to us. For just $55 a month for 6 months, you get the opportunity to talk to a parent advocate to help them lead you through and put you in a position so that you can ensure the success of your children for the future of your family. Now, I'm really excited that you were able to be here tonight. Please tell me if you have any questions. You have any questions, you have any concerns, any suggestions. I am so happy that you joined us for less stress and more control tonight. And if you do have any questions or concerns, oh, it says it's loading. There we go. Please make sure you reach out to us and contact us at any of these places by phone, by email, or just go to our webpage and you can send us a message there. You can see all of the services that we have to offer, and you can also make a donation, right? And we're really excited because we want to continue making sure that you have less stress and more control, not just this summer, but into your everyday life. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us again. If there are any questions, does anybody have a question, a concern, a suggestion, something you absolutely loved about tonight? Please feel free to share. You can share it in the chat, or you can open up your mic and share or ask. All right. But, oh, Kenya, wonderful. I'm so happy you're here, Kenya. I am so happy to see you.
This is probably simple. Sometimes my son gives me a look, like if I'm lecturing him about something like, you shouldn't have done that, or we're gonna have to find another way to do this because this is not gonna work in the future. Sometimes I feel like he looks at me like I don't understand or I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm a woman and he's a guy.
Okay.
Do they really feel like that? Because that's like the look he gives me. Not often, but he looks like, maybe if he had heard it from a guy, it would have been better, or you don't really know. I don't know. You have a boy and a girl. I was here last week. I saw your son and your daughter. Yeah. Do they kind of look at us like that? Like, you're a woman? Because I surely look at him like, you're just a child. You don't know what you're talking about.
So let me go ahead and address that. I'm so happy that you asked that question. So yes, I talked about this. I don't know what video. I don't know. I've done it. I've spoken on it. So, or I did it with my advocates as I was teaching them. That's what it was. I remember now. So we talk about girls. When children are born, we don't know if they're a girl, a daddy's girl, mama's boy. We don't know, right? We don't get a manual. They don't come with a sticker that says, this is a daddy's girl, this is a mama's boy. We don't know. So it could be, and I know that your son has connections with his dad and all, right? But boys, they have that desire to be connected with other boys, with other men to get training. Now, are women doing a bang up job of it? Yes. However, we are not men. Now your son, I know he loves him some mommy, right? But what if there's that thing in him that's like, I really wish I hang out with my daddy or with my uncle or with, my big cousin.
He has no problem saying that.
Good. So that's why you get the look, because he is, that's just the what do you call? He's doing it with his eyes versus saying it verbally. And you receive it, you understand it. So you just make sure that you continue to provide those opportunities, because it sounds like, again, I've seen him, I've met him. Yes, he loves him some you, but now that he's older and he's sharing these things with you, you may be discovering that he is a